On my left is,
Richard White.
and I'm Susan Chandler, and on my right is,
Barb Hartford.
and way over in the audience, we have our liaison, Beth Runyon. And on screen, except we can't see her, is our Department of Health liaison, Alex Fitch. So, we're missing one member. Fran isn't here right now, but we're going to call the meeting to order. And so I will do that. Is there any public speak? Anybody want to ask us a question or talk with us?
No hands raised online.
No? Okay. Well, let's approve the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
I
Is
guess
there
I'll
a second? Any changes, amendments, edits? No?
No.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we've approved the minutes. Thank you very much. Okay, one announcement. Molly sent us a note that Barb and I have completed our terms, our first term, but we are possible for a renewal. So the process is that I will ask Barb whether she would like to serve again another time.
I would like to serve another
And
term.
she would, and I would as well. So we can write a note to Molly, who will then send it forward to the select board, who hopefully will renew us for a second term. After that, we then do the officers. So that happens in July, if we get renewed. And as I was just saying, we need a vice chair. And we don't have to do this again until July, but by seniority, I think maybe we'd ask Fran whether he would like to be our vice chair.
Do you want to be chair again?
I would be chair again. Would you be clerk again?
I would be clerk again, unless you want to be clerk.
No, I
No.
so admire the work that you do that I would
Pile it on.
be reluctant
Thank
to
you.
even attempt to replicate it.
Well, thank you.
So hopefully we will have a new member, and then maybe the new member would like to do something, but at least we will put forward the request to be renewed by the select board, right?
If Fran doesn't want to be vice chair, would you be vice chair?
Of course, yes, thank you.
Cross that bridge when we get to it.
Right, great.
And are you trying to recruit somebody for your opening?
Yes,
Do you know anybody?
I don't, but it's better to try to be out recruiting than hoping that somebody will drop
Yeah.
off.
That's right.
yeah, well, we've certainly done well this time.
Awesome.
Fran found Richard, so if you can think of somebody who might be interested, that'd be great. Molly said she's advertising and we'll put it out, but I think that you're quite right, it's better one-to-one, and then they can call me and I can tell them about the committee if they like.
In previous years, have there been people that have not been recruited but have expressed interest in joining this committee?
I don't
No?
think so.
So it's
No. I think we've asked that, and there is not a waiting list to get in. Which is why it's always been word of mouth.
Yeah.
So,
Although, when I first came in 2020, this is the committee I wanted to be on, and it was full. And they told me there was a waiting list, and then I never heard anything about it, and then I tried again, and somehow there was space. So
Yeah,
I don't think they really have a waiting list formally.
it's similar to me. There was an opening, and I applied, and then was accepted.
Yeah.
Back to, so do I need to let Molly know? Should I send her a list or that I'm interested, or do
No,
you do
I
that
told
for
her,
us?
the chair is supposed to ask, so I
Ah.
asked, and I will tell her. And then
Okay.
what I don't know is whether we have to go formally in front of the select board for a renewal?
No,
You just
no,
do it.
you don't have to do the interview if you're
It's
just
a renewal, okay.
You're welcome to,
But no need.
right?
Okay. Okay, so let's get to our business today, because our business is to complete the, the worksheet. Excuse me. And as you will recall, last meeting, we approved a draft, and we were over our budget, so we had a policy that we would go through, and we had two new organizations which we also wanted to support. So in order to do that, our plan was to award every agency what they had had the previous year, not with their increase. And the issue that came up when we got to the fact that we had spent our $200,000 as a recommendation is that the navigators had asked for 25, right?
Yeah.
And we fit them in at 20. And Fran Listaro was concerned about whether they needed that money to be whole in order to run the program. And so we asked Alex to follow up with them, and she did. So Alex, do you want to tell us what's up?
Yes, sure. So I did follow up with Outer Cape, and I also reviewed their application that they sent in to the committee, and kind of just reflected on the last year with the Navigator program here in Orleans. And I would certainly like to advocate for the committee awarding the Navigator program the full $25,000. The increase is due to just general rising costs of everything. One of the services they provide is addressing barriers to care. So things like transportation for somebody, I mean, you name it, the Navigator program is able to do whatever it takes to help someone get what they need. So I certainly think it is a worthy cause. We do recommend the Navigator program in the health department quite a bit. So I certainly see the impact it's having on our community, and I do think it's important to give them the full amount.
Okay, so that's Alex's recommendation. And I said before you came, Fran, that you were the one that was concerned that their need for an additional 5,000 might make or break them, that they needed to go forward, so that we wanted to pause and find out what, what was up.
Right.
So that's what Alex was responding to. Personally, I'll give my opinion and then open it up for everybody. I think it's not a matter of how terrific it is. I think it's a great program, and I know they're busting barriers to behavioral health services, problems, and helping people get to that. But so are almost all of these other organizations. And I think that the reason that I would like to stay at the 20,000 is that they are a part of the Outer Cape Health, which has a $48 million budget. So this little extra 5,000 would hurt us more than I think it would hurt them to continue. For us, we'd have to adjust and either not fund the new ones or cut back more into the services that are housing and food pantries and after-school care and daycare and, lots of very crucial concerns also. So my personal thought was, and I understand how important it is to the health department and to Alex, but I guess I would rather stay where we were at the last meeting, give them the 20,000 and hope they can adjust as every nonprofit has to if they don't get their full budget.
I have a question with the 5,000.
Mm-hmm.
That takes us over budget, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
So perhaps Alex could address that. I mean, where does that 5,000 come from?
Well, we then adjust. We make a recommendation to the Department of Health.
Oh, I
So
see.
we have to give her only the $200,000 budget. So if we're going to put another 5 back into Navigators, we have to take it somewhere. And that's, our recommendation.
Okay. My view on this is virtually identical to yours. I certainly appreciate the value of this program. I think it's huge. But at the same time, I'm reluctant to be in a situation where we have to give a certain amount of money to any organization. Otherwise, there's a risk of serious deterioration in services, or it's not available. It doesn't seem consistent with the work of this committee to have a required amount that goes to any one organization. So I agree with you. I'd like to stick with last year's $20,000, but once again acknowledging the importance of this program and my respect for the program.
I'm with you guys. I just wanted to understand
Yeah.
the workings of this, and think that we are in a unique and awkward position with this because our mandate is a little different than the one that runs the town for the citizens, because the citizens have said, we're going to set aside these dollars to support things that happen that affect people in Orleans. That's kind of nebulous, and they've given us the job of trying to analyze and understand these opportunities to fund. Whereas the town identifies services that are important to it and funds them accordingly. This is a service that directly affects every citizen potentially, and I would think would comfortably fit in the entire town's universe of things they feel are very important. So we're an appendage of the town with a different mission, yet we're funding what should be actually closer to a routine activity. And it's all fine, but to continue our mandate, we have to make decisions about each organization. If this is viewed to be a vital and important activity for the town, I would say that extra $5,000, maybe we can find it somewhere else in the budget. I don't know how you feel. I know it's very easy to come back.
The budget's a done deal. The warrant has already been printed, so.
Well, let's just talk about the kind of hypotheticals and what I'm trying to get at. I think we've taken over a town activity in this budget line, whereas helping Outer Cape Health, that's a more nebulous area, the area of unmet healthcare needs for a lot of people, including some people in Orleans. But this, the Navigator thing, it used to be in the police department. You know, I mean, in other words, it was important enough that the people the first responders were, you know, using
benefit.
it, you know, and they were funding it, and I know they didn't want it. Anyway, it looked for a home. So I'm not casting aspersions at anybody. I'm just trying to say, I agree with what they're saying, and I don't think we should feel guilty about
Giving them 20,000.
giving them only 20.
Yeah.
And it may be a discussion.
If I can just sort of, I think the way to deal with this is that in preparation for next year's budget, you say, well, the 200,000 was not enough. Can it be 210 or 220?
Right.
And deal with it that way.
That's right.
But,
Go ahead.
but Beth, that I don't think addresses the point that Fran Mastaro is making, which I agree with. I mean, it looks like this should belong in the town's budget somewhere.
Well, it does. This is in
Right,
the town's budget.
Well, it's.
You mean the Department of Health's budget
Yeah,
rather than
the
ours?
Department of Health budget, or the
Right.
police budget, or somewhere else, rather than relying upon our limited budget for distribution to the entire
And
community.
that is a conversation to have with Alex. 'Cause
Right,
that would be,
okay.
that would be, if it's not in here, I think the health department's budget is where it would go. And from the town's point of view, it's one pocket, and it's which pocket does it come out of. It's the same amount of money.
I have two thoughts. One is, we've kind of created our own monster here, because we're the ones who asked Outer Cape Health to come to us and propose funding for the Navigator program, because the funding had been lost. And Fran Kelly had advocated very much for the program all along, and we all embraced that idea. And so, and you're absolutely right, it's very different from anything else that we have, because we initiated that, and we are the only funders right now responsible for this program. So it is a unique situation to be in. And I think one thing we might want to recommend to you, Alex, is that something be done so that it's not our responsibility to have to continue to fund this organization at whatever it is they request, which is so different from any of the other organizations that we have. So I think, but again, that's another future thing, like asking for more money in the next budget. I said very facetiously last time, and I actually think that I had a really good idea. Outer Cape Health is asking us for $40,000. Well, actually, they're asking for us for $50,000. 25 for their regular program and 25 for the Navigator program. It's all Outer Cape Health money. I said facetiously, well, maybe we should just give Outer Cape Health $15,000 and give the Navigator program 25. Therefore, we're giving them the same amount of money as an organization, but we are funding the Navigator program at their request, kind of at the expense of Outer Cape Health. In other words, we're saying, we're giving you $40,000. You know, I don't know that we are actually, that they have to spend the 25. I mean, that's their program decision, I would think. We're giving them $40,000. They're asking for 50, we're giving them 40. If they want to use 25 of that for the Navigator program, fine. But it means that they're not going to get the 20,000. So I'm looking at more of a ballpark for the organization itself as opposed to looking at the two different pieces as being totally separate. The other thing I'd like to say is that Alex is our boss, and she is recommending that we fund this program at what they're asking. Alex, I don't know, I know you can overrule us. Do you have any sense if we went with the $20,000, would you say no to? I mean, what happens then?
I would just like to clarify that we're appointed by the select board. We're not really under, she's not really our boss. If anybody's our boss, I think it's the select board. We're organizationally under, but our recommendation goes forward and it's public. And she can obviously override it because it's in her budget, but sorry, I don't actually see you as boss, Allison. We can't even see you at all now on the screen. But, you know, we're representing the community.
And if I could just add, what you're doing here is quite similar to what the CPC committee does. And they also go out and solicit applications from nonprofits and other places. And their budget is a mix of town money, state money, that fluctuates from year to year. So they don't have a nice tidy sum that they know what to deal with. And I'd say in most years, they have less money than they do have applications for. So, and they do cut back applications from the amounts being applied for. And a lot of times, or they'll do various sort of workarounds, like an organization might have a project that's going to take them 2 years to do. So they'll say, well, we'll fund you. They can't really commit to a further year, but they'll kind of say, we'll come back for the other half next year. But there are definitely all that horse trading going on.
Right.
And it works fine. Everybody understands that.
Right. I guess I would just add one other point. I'm a little uncomfortable with the fact that in this case, although it's quite true, we were following up on a good study that was that Fran had done, and we had, we got very enthusiastic about getting this need met in the community. But I don't like being the only funder of a program. If this is such a great need, it seems to me Outer Cape should find some way of coming up with $5,000 to, offset it. Or they can only afford to do 3 days instead of 4 days, and that's too bad. But almost any one of these organizations, if we asked, we're not the only funders, and they are all cutting back and providing less service than they would like to and that they're funded for. So yes, it's different, but I'm not so sure that it's super unique. And I don't think that we could in any way require Outer Cape to fund this with our money going to them and then hoping they're going to fund it the other way. We could do it for 5, but not the whole 20, I think. So anyway, sorry, you had your hand up.
Well, no, I don't think I've got anything really more to add. I think you're right, that maybe we should just look at Outer Cape as one number. You know, and we want Navigator to be part of it, or start at Navigator and you can have the rest.
Right.
You know, for general use. Maybe that's the way we should approach it, but what I feel inherently in all this is the need for resources that are getting scarce.
Mhm.
Okay, we see it coming at us from a lot of these organizations. Can't help but feel the town is going to be feeling that. CPC gets partly funded by the state. I don't know that that's going to grow fast if it doesn't shrink at some point. So I'd almost say, take 20,000 out of our budget, and you can, because we're saying, town, go spend that on Navigator, and if you think Navigator's important enough, spend a little more on it. But we're not gonna, as long as we have a mandate to do what we're doing with the rest, this is different. That's all. And it shouldn't be part of our remit, I think. So.
Alex, we can't see you, so have your hand up?
I was just thinking about the conversation here. I certainly like the idea of offering, you know, if the committee wants to, if you wanted to fund the full 25,000, taking, finding that 5,000 in the other money for Outer Cape Health Services certainly makes sense, or offering them whatever you can, and then Outer Cape can kind of adjust as needed maybe, or give the money to the Navigator if that's where it needs to go. But the committee can make the recommendation it would like. We are in this position because the committee invited the Navigator to apply for funds after the police weren't able to maintain that money. So certainly moving forward, we can look at, you know, funding the program if it's doing everything, you know, if it's doing good work in the community, we could certainly try to find it elsewhere so they're not coming to the Human Service Advisory Committee for a grant. But that's something we'd look at in the future. So the committee can make whatever recommendation it would like and, you know, adjust the money as necessary.
The other thing is, I don't have the spreadsheet that we did before, but am I remembering that at our last meeting, when we started the meeting, we actually had funded Navigator at 25,000, and allocated less money to the new organizations? Does anybody have the spreadsheet that we were working off of last time? The one where because I remember last time we added money to the two new organizations. We added $100 to the South Coast County's Legal Services. And I know we originally funded, at the last meeting, we started off with 25,000 for the Navigator program.
But then we had a $226,000 request, so then we had to cut back. That's this one that you did. This was the 213 budget. And then I don't think we actually were running budgets, we were just talking about those until we got to the.
No, this is the one from the last meeting. I'm talking about the one for the meeting before the last meeting.
And this is February 13th.
Oh, February 13th.
Yeah.
Could you explain where you're going with this point?
Just that we had, at the last meeting, we had started off with a bottom line of 200,000. And we had allocated less money to the two new programs. And I think at the last meeting, we decided, well, we want to take that $5,000 away from the Navigator program and only fund them at the 20,000. So we had $5,000 extra, and we added that $5,000 back into the two no programs,
That's right.
the site program,
That's
and I
right.
think we added some more to maybe another one. So we had, my point is that at the start of our last meeting, we had the Navigator program funded at 25,000 with less allocated to some other agencies. We took that $5,000 away and put it into the other things, which is the spreadsheet that we have, we're working on right now.
That's right. So we took from 5,000 to 2,500 for Pleasant Bay, and from 5,000 to 2,500 to the toy library. And then, I don't know quite why we did this, but you added $100 to your sustainable.
Well, just because we had the
Don't-
extra.
Don't forget, there was a time, and this was in February, where, and maybe a little later, that AIDS support group had never
Right.
submitted a
That's
request.
That's right.
I
And
forgot
we were
about
getting to
that.
the point where, okay,
Yeah,
that was gonna be a zero.
right.
That's
you're
right.
Yeah.
And then
So we
that
kind
came
of-
in.
I think we had that money to,
That's right.
Move around.
And then they did
Right.
come
and
in.
then they came in.
Yes, you're
Right.
right.
And then there was some delays in receiving the Homeless Prevention Council
That's right.
Right.
request,
So-
which was a big number.
When things settled out,
Yeah.
reality set in about everybody's needs.
Right. So AIDS support came in for a $6,000 request.
Right.
And then the homeless prevention came in with a 30,000 request.
And I think we've got them down to, what?
25.
25, and in February, we had them at, I think we had them prospectively allocated at 27.5 for a moment, for a shining moment. And so as things settled in, that's when I think we started to really cut back.
Right.
Maybe the elegant approach here is yours, which is we just say at Navigator 25 and Outer Cape Health 15. The general category that we've been funding, we just cut them back to pay it.
It gets us there. I see it's an elegant solution.
It may not be so elegant. but-
It's quite elegant, and it gets us there.
Clumsy.
It's not clumsy. I guess I'm still of the concern that, yes, we asked them to apply 2 years ago, but that did not mean that we would have to give them anything they came in. What if they came in for 35,000? So at some point, we have to begin to teach, we have to begin to assess them as all the other programs, I think. And yes, it was unique, certainly the first year, but are we committed to having to, fund them every year? We're not running their program, so I want to get them back into the list of all these other very needy nonprofits. And I think, when we went to Outer Cape, we're talking about people who need life-saving services. It's not like that's not an important agency. And so to cut them just to keep the navigators, when I think what Alex said is that their costs have increased, as has everyone else's. So maybe they can't do quite every day, or they can't do it with as much, outreach as they want. And that's very sad, but so is elder services, and so is, we heard that from a lot of the agencies. So I guess I don't want to start the pattern that somehow whatever this one comes in with, we're going to feel obligated to pay for.
Well, it becomes more than a pattern, it becomes a precedent.
Yes, it does.
And I am very, very concerned about that,
Yeah.
especially as the sole funder. I mean,
Yeah?
and, I think it's great that we invited them to apply, but there wasn't any implied, I assume at the time, any
Forever
implied,
funding.
we're going to just take care of you forever.
Right. And, this was a town that didn't have it, right? Wellfleet had it, another town, so we really wanted to get on the bandwagon, but again, I don't think it obligates us for future funding forever.
Alex, when you talk to them Did they have any contingency plan? Like what would happen if the committee only gave you $20,000?
I did not ask about a contingency plan.
Okay.
But as you guys have been pointing out, you know, this is a request, and I'm sure everyone will adjust.
So maybe this is a little bit rude, but if we send forward our recommendation as it was last time, would that be something that you would approve? Or would you decide that this is something that is so important to the department that you would override our decision and ask us to come back and, I guess, readjust?
I think that I would make sure, like, I would follow up with Bree and ask about a contingency plan. Just to make sure that the services, and even if they are a little bit reduced, are still provided for Orleans, which I'm sure they will be. I'm just talking about getting confirmation on that.
Okay. Well, I'm comfortable going with where we were at our last meeting and moving our draft into the recommendation and keeping the Navigators at 20 and the Outer Cape at 20, so that we get to our $200,000 budget.
I'd like to make a motion to that effect.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Do we have to worry about his $100? Didn't you come up with $100 last time?
Well, if you're talking about going with what we approved as a draft last time,
Mhm.
everything is the same, including the $100 is in there.
Okay,
So we're just saying we're approving the draft that we approved last time.
yes, okay.
But as no longer a draft, as a final
As a final recommendation.
Final
Okay.
recommendation.
Right, and then Alex will also find out whether or not this really will sink the whole program, and if so, we'll hope that other people will be able to keep it afloat. All right, ready to vote?
Ready to vote?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. Alex, we're unanimous.
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you. Do you have anything else for us?
I do not.
Okay. Well, thank you, committee. This is hard work. All right, on the new business, I think I mentioned this before you came in, that Barb and I have agreed to serve again. Our terms are up, and we will ask to be reappointed. And we do need a vice chair, and we're looking at you. But we don't have to do it until July. We put the officers together after we have reconstituted the committee, which may have another member if we get that. So maybe you can think about it. You're the senior person.
Do you need certification or anything for that?
Actually, vice chair
Let me
does.
just
Please, no more,
tell
yeah.
you that being a vice chair is extremely easy because it's like, kind of like in the past, being a vice
I'm
president, I
recording
should say.
this.
However, should the chair resign, all of a sudden you are thrown into a huge panic.
Which has happened, as you may recall.
As they say in Washington, despair.
Despair, exactly,
Despair.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, sure, fine.
Great.
Wonderful.
Okay,
Absolutely
thank you.
wonderful.
All right, so then the only other item that I had was, we don't have to have any more meetings this year. So
That's right.
we don't really have to start. Alex will send out the new application with the addition that Barb recommended about making sure they're sending it to the right place. Maybe put that on every page, and certainly at the bottom of the page, so that they're sending it to us and we don't lose applications. But other than that, we don't have to really meet again until, what do we do, October?
I just want to make sure we
Trying to
don't
remember.
want to. Do we, so we're sure that we don't want to make any, I guess we don't need to make any changes other than that one.
Yeah, we met October 7th last
Okay.
year.
Okay,
And
so is this, our Tuesdays at 11 still good for people?
Thursday.
Thursday?
Thursdays, yeah.
Just talking about what, we know what day it is after we've retired.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, Thursdays, are Thursdays good at 11 for people?
That's fine.
Okay,
So
And-
October,
When was it? The 11th we met before? Is that what you said?
what you want to do, which Thursday do you want to meet? You won't believe this, but I already have a dental appointment scheduled at that time.
well, let's
believe
not
that.
do it that
On the
week.
8th of October.
Which day?
It's Thursday, the 8th of October.
Okay, how about this, whatever the next one is,
No,
15th?
I'm fine on the 15th, but that's the way things work out here.
Yeah. Okay, well, and again, if that doesn't work that far away, lots of things can happen, but let's put that down tentatively, and then Barb, can you start getting us the room?
Sure.
You
Do
reserve
you
the
want to
room?
meet, so we want to meet every week through February probably.
Well, I guess maybe schedule it, and then we'll see where we are, because last time we didn't have, we had some applications, but not a whole lot of applications.
Right.
So 11 o'clock, the 15th of October.
Right.
Okay.
Alex,
Okay.
can you think of any reason why we need to meet before then?
I can't, but certainly if something comes up, we can always schedule it
Right,
then.
okay.
Okay. October 15th, right? Okay, well, we don't have anything else on our agenda, so we really shouldn't be talking about anything, but anybody have anything else they want to say before we say goodbye?
Have a nice summer.
I would just like to thank you for taking the time to write that nice letter to the Chronicle about Fran. It was really, I love the fact that both his obituary and our letter were in the same Chronicle. It just was sort of like, making a full circle. I miss him terribly, I think you all
Yes.
do. But it was just really nice of you to take the time to do that. It was a very nice letter, so thank you for doing that.
Yeah, you're quite
They
welcome.
spelled my name wrong, but that's their problem, not yours.
I hope.
But it was about,
It
it was
wasn't me.
about Fran Kelly, it was not about me, so it doesn't
Right,
really make
I
any
didn't
difference.
notice that.
I like being incognito.
Yeah,
But it really was a nice gesture, and we'll all miss him terribly.
I agree.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, and I would just like to say that you are a fabulous committee, and the amount of work that you all do is beyond what most volunteer committees expect, and I appreciate, and I learn from you every week when we meet, and so I have enjoyed doing this, and if you would like to have me continue, I would be willing.
Yeah.
And if somebody else wants to step up as chair, that would be great. I think we have a fabulous scribe. She takes wonderful, wonderful minutes and keeps us all together, so we're quite the group, right?
So,
I think so.
I
as
think
far
so.
as the officers are concerned, since we're not
Mhm.
meeting until October, well, I guess, how does that work?
I don't
Since we
know.
can't vote until we're reappointed.
They said that you don't do the officers until after you've been reappointed, but we're not gonna
Generally,
meet
there's
until
a
October.
reorganization meeting, which is your first meeting.
We do that in October, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you could do, or you could also do it in July, so it's up to you.
Well, I guess the only question is in case anybody asks anybody anything, but I suppose they can always ask Alex. You know, if somebody has a question, then oftentimes they turn to the chair, and if there's not a chair known, but I think they would call
Well,
Alex.
it's probably going to show the same officers until we change it.
You think so?
I would think so. Do you know, Alex? On the website, will it show the same officers until we change them?
I think you're right, it'll stay as is for now
Okay,
until we tell someone to change it.
okay, all right. Okay, well, I don't have any other business, no other future items?
So if we get a new member between now and then,
Oh, yeah.
do you think we should have a meeting? I guess, let me put it this way. If we get a new member before October, I think it'd be kind of nice to have just an orientation meeting where we all got together, introduced ourselves, talked a little bit about what we do. And, you know.
Can we, subject to, schedule something
Yeah.
when we hear
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
Yeah.
that's the case? That's
Yeah.
fine.
Because I think the process now is that they ask the chair to talk to the person and let them know about the committee, and then make a recommendation along when she or he goes in front of the select board to say, yes, the chair agrees this is a relevant person.
Okay. So even though you're not chair, you could still do that?
I think so,
Okay.
sort of.
Generally, the board asks, or Molly will ask the chair of each committee for their thoughts. And so, I mean, it can go both ways too. There could be somebody that the chair really doesn't want on the committee. And then we listen to both sides of that.
Oh, Okay, okay.
Good.
But if there's not competition for the spot, it's hard to say no.
Right, right. Well, you
Right,
did a great job recruiting Richard, so get to it.
that's right. You have a nice network of friends, see if you can find somebody who's interested in the good work that we do. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well, everybody
All right,
have a great
meeting to
summer.
Move to adjourn?
Move to adjourn, second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,